Hey, hey everyone. Welcome to the recap of Fear the Walking Dead. We are here live every week to discuss the latest episodes. You can catch our recaps at any time, available on most major podcast platforms. So get new and past episodes for free in the podcast app of your choice, including here on YouTube. For those of you joining us live tonight, thanks for taking time out of your evening to be here. I'm your host, Tamara, and I love a good TV show and a good book. So if you'd like to reach out to me, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at the Recap Pods. And if you're into books, you can also find me at Shelf Addiction. Joining me is show co-host Lisa. Welcome, Lisa.
Hi, Tamara. Hi, everyone. My name is Lisa Orban. I'm an author. I'm also the founder of Indies United Publishing House, and I love all things pop culture. So if you would like to connect with me online, you can find me pretty much everywhere online at Lisa Orban Author or at Indies United Pub. Also, I am currently babysitting two of the most stupid dogs you've ever seen, and if you hear something, I am terribly sorry.
Yeah, just ignore it. Just ignore it. So before we get started, we just want to remind you that we would love your participation in this conversation. So if you are listening right now live, hit us up in the comments section. If you are catching this on a replay, you can still leave comments or you can even call us by using the voicemail link in the show notes. So we want to hear from you and possibly include your comments in the episode. So don't forget, please like and subscribe wherever you're listening. So if you are new to the podcast, we are laid back in our review style, right, Lisa?
Absolutely, Tamara. This is a conversation, not a dissertation.
Yes, no scene by scene breakdowns here. We jump around, and of course, huge spoiler alert for the entirety of the universe up through Sunday's episode. So if you're cool with that, this is the place for you, and we should get started. We're talking about episode 4.
Yes, I liked it.
Yes, me too. I heard some hype about it. People were really saying, oh, it's so great. It's so awesome. And I think it was pretty good as well.
I will say that apparently they're not that far from Atlanta. Um,
Really? Hmm. Okay.
well, I mean, because that's about where Rick met up with him, wasn't it? Or in the Atlanta area.
Yeah, it seemed like it, but I have to go back and I did wonder that because I was trying to remember where that was they met, like where that house is, right? So,
Yeah, because it was. I know it was right before Rick went into Atlanta proper.
uh-huh.
So it's got to be somewhere in Georgia.
Yeah, like probably what the west part of the state or something.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, Georgia's not that. I mean, technically, isn't that far from like Louisiana,
Mhm.
from the Gulf,
Mhm.
but and I mean, and it so I mean, I guess it kind of depends on where in the Gulf they're located at in Padre.
Yeah. And
So
again, we don't know how long really he's been gone and I kind
I'm
of
gonna say
struggled.
not too long because that one kid was in that truck, in the
Yeah.
back, and no one noticed her.
Yeah, so maybe a half a day, quarter
Maybe
of a day, I don't know, a couple hours?
I don't know. I mean, that's just
It's
it.
hard
I
to
I mean,
tell,
he apparently walked there.
but he was close enough that he could also still hear the radio. So
Uh huh.
I don't know. I don't know what to make of it, and sometimes I get hung up in the technical,
I know. I
facts
did
of
too.
it, and I'm trying to like not do that a whole lot.
Because
Yeah.
when you don't stop to consider things like, well, how far is it? Did he walk? How did he get there?
Mhm.
Um, yada yada yada. When you don't do those things, it's
Mhm.
you know, and I did like the kind of full circle aspect because we've got this is where Morgan's story started, and it started with him not being able to put his wife down,
Right.
and that's
Right.
where you know him not being able to do the one hard thing was what you know caused him to lose his son and then his mind and then the whole after effect.
You know what? I when I realized what was going on in this episode, I'm like, "Oh, wow, we are back at the beginning." It was like
Yeah.
I really was trying to remember the details and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is so crazy." it looks exactly the same. It feels the same.
Yeah.
And
Now,
yeah.
I did watch the after thing with the directors, and they were saying that that set was completely gone. So they
Mhm.
put a facade on the front of the house, but they went back to old footage and they set that house up exactly,
Yeah, they rebuilt it.
rebuilt it.
Impressive.
Yeah,
Impressive.
and the fact that
Yeah.
they rebuilt that entire house for just this singular episode, I thought was and put that much effort into the detail, actually kind of reassures me in a way. If they're willing to
Yeah.
put that much attention to detail, into making sure that the house, the cups, the plates, the everything looks exactly as he left them in the
Mhm.
from the last time. Which I don't know about you, but I don't remember where that cup was.
No, me
Um,
neither. I don't
but
know like that.
the fact that they took that meticulous care does make me very hopeful for this season finale or for the season ending.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. And to be honest, I thought that, I guess the star was his acting, right? It was his acting was like really chef's kiss in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
I really bought all of it. Although I did question, I'm like, okay, so it's been years since he's been
10.
back. 10 years, right? He says, "Oh, I've been 10 years," right? Well,
Mm-hmm.
so the catalyst for that, I assume, is that okay, by putting to rest his son and wife, then maybe he can prove he can take care of Mo. Although technically, in my logical brain, one doesn't equal the other.
Right. I feel that.
Yeah, but I
I
guess
mean,
in
there
his
was
emotional self, maybe.
well, I mean, we know that Morgan has always kind of skittered on the edge of insanity.
Mhm.
We because we have seen him in his very lucid moments, and we have also seen him in his way
Yeah.
out there in fantasy land.
Yes.
And we've even I mean, and not just from the way back from when this happened to his son, but on and off again throughout his entire appearance.
Oh
He
yeah.
is not, I mean, when he was stumbling around trying to set that water tower up, he was injured and insane and delusional.
Yeah.
But
He swings on that range back and forth
mm-hmm,
like to both ends dramatically. He's
yeah,
either not killing anyone, can't do anything, very depressed, I'm the only
or
one
kill
that
them all, let
lives,
God sort them out.
right, kill them all. Yeah, so he's opposite ends of the spectrum at
Right.
any given moment. He swings back and forth with like at a drop of a dime, he'll flip and he'll be in the other situation.
Yeah, I mean, Morgan has some, because and it's funny because sometimes when Morgan is okay, you can easily forget. Oh man, this man was
He's a
like
little crazy.
batshit.
Yeah.
Just a couple months ago, where people are feeding him with plastic spoons.
Yes.
Um, where you don't know if he's, because part of the whole deal with you know with Grace having the baby and his that whole fantasy that he had, and then but the thing was is he was already somewhat questioning his own sanity when things were going downhill in the dam,
Mhm.
where he wasn't quite sure if he could trust his own senses.
Right.
And it's not that he's not unaware of it.
Oh, he knows.
He knows, but
Yeah.
and he'll even try to start warning people, you don't understand, and they're like, no, you're fine, you're our
He's
fearless
like, "I'm
leader.
trying to tell you."
I'm trying to tell you, man. You don't understand. I mean, he's not as bad as Daniel.
No, but I mean, there was a moment, when he came out of that house and he was like enraged and he's like killing all the walkers in the street. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, Morgan, I'm saying this out loud. Keep it together, man. Keep it
Right.
together. Hold it together. Cause I'm like, he's gonna lose it. I just could
Right.
feel it. I'm like, oh my God.
And I guess, I mean, we have known throughout everything, that Morgan lives in a world of regrets. And that's part of the reason for these swings so far back and forth. You know, the regrets of not being able to save his wife, and then of losing his son, you know, and then of losing his mind, and then of the things that he did when he had lost his mind. And then, you know, during his pacifist periods, the things that he let slip by that ended up hurting, you know, like the wolf pack people. Um, just letting it slide, and then, you know, them going on and killing people later on, and he finds out that, you know, basically by letting them go, these people he loved died. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so Morgan has had, you know, I mean, and even leaving Alexandria and going off was part of this whole, you know, everyone dies around me, I'm the only one that lives, I always live. And
Right.
it doesn't matter how careless he is, it doesn't matter any, Morgan just makes it, and he's become a fatalistic about it.
Mm-hmm.
But he also has a massive amount of survivor's guilt.
He does. He has a lot of that. On top of other guilts that he has covered up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, at the end of this episode, we realize his son is there. He's there. He's in
Yeah.
the attic. I'm like, fuck, did he put him up there? He put him up
He
there.
put him up there and did
And
not remember.
no, I'm like, you forgot he was up here? Like, oh my God, man.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, because he kept saying, I don't remember any of
yeah.
this. Because in his mind, he left that place as soon as his son died, and obviously, he did not.
No, he put him up there, then left.
Well, no, because he stayed there long enough to write on the
Mm-hmm.
ceilings and write on the wall and everything else. So, I mean, he spent a little bit of time there after his son died.
He was in, so he might have been in there when his son was already chomping at the bit and doing all this
Mm-hmm.
other stuff. And he just totally blacked it out.
Yeah.
That is so wild to me. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow. So
And,
he
and
had the time to lay his son to rest right then, but he didn't do it.
right, he could have. He could have put his son down and he could have laid him, you know, he could have,
Mm-hmm.
for his wife and son at the same time, he could have buried them together,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in the way back when, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But in his mind, he killed his, you know, he shot his wife and walked out the door and never came back.
Yeah.
And so when that writing on the walls was found, you know, he was shocked. He had no idea he had done that, but he knew he would do things like that because he has done things like that before.
Yeah.
He did
Definitely.
it there in the swamp. We know for a fact now that in some crazy state over the last couple of years that you know, he wrote on those walls, you know, the King County and all that other stuff.
Yeah. So he
With
was thinking about them again, probably, because he was so upset or traumatized by not being able to protect Mo and having to hand her
mm-hmm,
over to them. So maybe he felt guilt about that. So can't
yeah,
protect this baby. So let me think about the son I didn't protect either.
exactly. And something tells me that at some point in time, while he's been wandering around the swamp, he's been wandering around crazy.
Probably.
Um, and you know, and we know that, you know, he's done that on several different occasions. So yeah, he just with with the writing on the wall, he did that in that other place that he was holed up in for a while. He just had writing everywhere. I can't remember where it was now.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I mean, this is he's very cyclic,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, and he can, and when him talking to Grace, going, you don't understand the kind of person I could be. I mean, I can be awful, and you know, and I'll kill everything, and I don't think anyone really appreciates what he's saying. Oh no, not you, Morgan. You know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, very much you, Morgan. Very much you.
Oh my gosh. So let's shift a little bit and talk about how Grace and Mo ended up there.
Mm-hmm.
So come to find out, Mo sent the signal and then hid in the back of the truck.
Mm-hmm.
And she figures out where he's going, of course, from the writing on the wall. And he's
Mm-hmm.
like, you are too smart for your own good.
Oh yeah.
Like, girl. And that's just like, okay, we're just going to show up. we're just gonna, and I'm like, I know it's gonna be bad. I'm like, there's no reason to have this kid show up here unless something else is going to happen.
And the thing I don't understand is why she just didn't go to Grace instead of, because when she sent that message, Grace isn't the only one that got it. Dwight got it and interpreted the message.
Yes, he sure did.
And so I don't understand why Mo didn't just talk to Grace and say, because she had to be close enough to get into the truck.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't she just say,
And how did she know where she was? So,
yeah,
Grace was just out and about, right? Like doing her job with them. And then she hears the message and she goes to find him. But I would love to know how Mo knew where the car, how did she know where to go?
right? I don't know. And like I said, why didn't she just talk to Grace? She's
Yeah.
close enough to get in the back of the truck.
Look, and she's comfortable enough calling them mom and dad in episode 4. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay. I mean, to me, it felt a little fake. It felt a little false to me because, like, and I said this before about Mo's character, like, she was already ready to have some parents, like, immediately,
right.
which goes against everything she was quote unquote told. And she hasn't had any kind of push or pull or struggle with understanding that these are her parents and they didn't abandon her. I think that's kind of weak in the plot. That she is just, oh, here for it, instant family, mom, dad.
Right. Well, I I know that there are kids out there that have her kind of personality where they want to um, latch on to even if they're not the actual parent, a parental figure, and
Mm-hmm.
start saying mom and dad, at a, you know, immediately, mom, dad, I love you.
Mm-hmm.
I spent many years in foster care. I'm here to tell you. Um, and so, I mean, so that part of it really didn't bother me too much because you could see her, because she'd say it and she'd look at him, you know, is this
She
working?
did ask Grace if it was okay after she called her that. She
Yeah.
did kind of say that.
And
Yeah.
I think Grace, or I think Mo is the kind of kid, that no matter what your upbringing is, there's that driving need to have the mom, the dad, the stability. Although I did think it was kind of funny her reaction to the kiss.
Okay. So can we just talk about that? So she acted like I don't know. It was just beyond disgust almost. She just
Yeah,
looked like the fuck was that?
yeah. Why are you doing that?
And she looked so grossed out and they kind of looked at her like, "Oh, have you never seen anybody kiss?" And
No.
it's like it never thought, they never even thought about it. And then when she walks over, when Grace kisses Mo on the cheek, Mo's like, "Oh, why are you even doing that? Like,
Yeah,
get away from me."
because I have noticed this throughout the, not just this episode, but in all the episodes,
Mhm.
she is very uncomfortable with physical shows of affection.
Mm.
I noticed that in the first episode,
Well,
and and that would make sense because
but in the
we're,
first episode, she didn't know them from a hole in the wall. So,
but whenever you know whenever anyone came closer, she kind of, in all the episodes, she's always kind of just moved away.
hmm.
She's kept like kind of like this little bubble distance around herself, unless forced into physical contact.
See, and I thought she was doing that with the other kids, like when the girl tried to touch her shoulder or something and said, "Why couldn't you do that in the little arena or whatever they had set up?"
Yeah.
And she did kind of shrug her off or something, if I'm remembering correctly. But I
Hmm.
thought that was just her trying to show she's tough, show she's
Right.
old enough and doesn't need to be comforted, type of thing.
She's fine with basically the equivalent of parallel play. You can sit here next to me, but I don't really want you to touch me or interact with me. Um,
Yeah.
and again, I mean, it's considering the upbringing, that would be about right. And even the you can see her forcing, mom, dad, I've never had parents. Is this what it's like to have parents? It's like she's trying it on for size.
Maybe that's what she's doing. every time I heard mom or dad out her mouth, I kind of just cringed a little bit.
Yeah.
It just
And
felt
it does
weird.
sound forced. It sounds
Uh-huh.
very forced, but I've I've met kids like that before where they
Mhm.
will, try it on for size, so to speak.
Mhm.
And it does sound very awkward.
Mhm.
Now, the more you say it, the more natural it becomes. And so that's, probably by the end, if she survives, the mom and dad will be a little more natural, or should be. But
Okay, so we're assuming let's talk about that. So, after all this time, Grace has been radiation through she's had radiation
yep.
issues. She's lived and seemingly thrived, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
from my point of view, it's not like
Right.
she's been sickly this whole time.
No, she's not.
And now she is sick again.
Mm-hmm.
So round two of I probably might die. And now to top everything off, I've been bitten in the stomach.
Right. And this is the one thing I do not want. I don't want there to be this one glaring abnormality from Fear the Walking Dead where they have found a cure, and everywhere else in the Walking Dead universe there is not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That would upset me. If like the kid, what's the kid's name? Ren Sparrow, I don't know, the one that was bit.
Yeah. I can't think of his name right now.
Um if he makes it,
Finch. There we go. His name is
Finch.
Finch. Yeah.
If he makes it, we'll sign it, we can chalk it up to he's the one in the million kids. He happened to hit the genetic lottery. It was the radiation treatments, or it was the fact that he was irradiated well as an infant, or there's a genetic component to it, or all of the above. All right, fine. One case. I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
I can I can put it into the world building. It's a fluke, and it happens. Um, but if they save Grace, then that's technically a cure.
Yeah. So how would that work? So if she's already had exposure, lots
Hmm.
of it, and now she's sick from radiation, I
And
wondered
she's
how would more radiation help her bite?
right. And there's also the fact that she knows she only has a month or two.
A couple months to
For the
live.
way she
Yeah.
was talking, her time is short. I mean, she didn't specifically say I have a month or two, but she was very clear on she had a very short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
She was getting sick, she was getting weak, she was getting the symptoms, and she has something that showed up on a machine somewhere.
Right.
She went to a hospital. I don't know if she took X-rays or what she found, but according to whatever machine, there is something.
Yes.
Which means even under the best of circumstances in modern society with with chemo and doctors and yada yada yada, it sounds like she has stage 4 whatever.
Yeah. Like she's got no time left. So how? That's please explain to me, showrunners, writers, in the next episode. Show me how more exposure to radiation is going to reverse this and not
Right.
kill her.
Right. And we know that radiation will not save people per se, because otherwise all of her colleagues wouldn't have died.
Yeah, true. True. Although Finch is walking around perfectly fine, he doesn't even look sick. He doesn't even look pale or anything. Like,
Exactly. And like I said, if we have one kid, again, it could be he has a natural immunity to it for some reason, which honestly would follow a disease vector anyway. There's always this really small percentage of people, like 1 in a billion even, that could have an immunity. Why? Who knows?
mm-hmm,
I'm okay with the one person. He's a freak,
mm-hmm,
essentially. Maybe so, or the fact that he was exposed to massive amounts of radiation while he was in vitro could also be a factor, or whatever. But basically, if it couldn't be easily replicated, essentially, is what I'm saying.
yeah, yeah,
He's a fluke because of all of these different combination of things. For some reason, the treatment worked on him. It's not going to work on everyone. It's not going to work on most people. He's just a fluke.
and
And I'm
that would make the most sense to me because they had been doing all these tests on all of these people and nothing worked.
Yeah. And suddenly Grace could, or suddenly, not Grace, but what's her name could just fix everything?
Yeah.
Because if she was that close to a cure before, as terrible as things were, she would have continued.
Right. If so, I don't think she thought she was close at all.
Right.
So I do agree with you. The fluke would make more sense, which means if that's what they're doing, then we won't be seeing um what's her face, Grace, for too much longer. She'll
No,
die.
she's going to die. And the thing was, I already had her set up to die anyway because her cancer came back.
Yeah.
So,
Mm.
I mean, and I understand Morgan not wanting to lose her. I get that part. I get it. I get it. He finally got his little family back together. He
I
buried his
know.
first family. He got his second family together. They're all together now. We're going to go off into the sunset. His daughter was looking at pictures of him with his son and his wife. Blah 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 blah. It was a happy little moment, and then bad.
I know
I
she
will
gets, of
say,
course, I was waiting for that. I'm like, okay, she's just sitting here chilling on the top of a junk pile. Of course, something's going to come out of
right.
there.
I will say it did kind of startle me because I was expecting something to like come up behind her or something.
Mm-hmm.
So when it popped up out of the, oh whoa, okay,
Jump
cool.
scare. It
Yeah,
got you.
it did. It got me a little because I'm looking into the background, for the walker to sneak up behind.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, right at her feet.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, at this point, either way, Grace is gonna die.
She is going to die. And honestly, I feel like that would be not a throwaway, but it would be someone that I don't think the audience is going to be like, "Oh my god," I don't, I just can't see. I don't think anyone has really been like what is the word I'm looking for? Rooting for that couple too hard.
Right.
So
Exactly.
I think that she would be an easy character for them to kill without too much uprage or outroar from the
Right.
watching viewers. So
I mean, Grace and Morgan's relationship was always really kind of weird.
it never felt like I was never a stand for them, right? Like I was never like trying to, no one hyphenated their names together, you
Right.
know?
Right. And I mean, they weren't a terrible couple. All
No,
right.
but
But
they
at the same,
just weren't like the couple either.
oh no. I mean, and there wasn't a lot of chemistry between them, honestly.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, that's it. They were missing chemistry the whole time, even when they were at the peak of trying to figure out if they really liked each other. The
Hmm.
chemistry was not that strong.
Yeah. They were comfortable with each other.
Hmm.
They were good companions to each other. Uh, but I never really got the deep romantic. This isn't love affair love.
No,
I
it's not.
guess.
It's like, okay, this is the end of the world. We don't have a whole lot of choices,
Yeah.
and you're cool. I like you.
Right. I
I
like
can love you, you
I
know?
and I do think they love each other, but
Yeah.
I think they kind of love each other the same way that Carol and Daryl love each other,
Yeah,
but
like
decided to take
family
it to
and
that
friends. Yeah.
right, but decided to try and take it to that next level and just didn't work out.
I mean,
Because
even when they kissed, it was like, oh, okay.
yeah, there's this awkwardness about the two of them together.
Yeah, there's no heat at all. Like it's totally, we've been together forever. You're my best friend kind of love,
Hmm.
and
And that's
yeah, we can get busy sometimes too.
right. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. I mean, you can have a long relationship with somebody under those circumstances and have a good relationship
Yeah.
with someone over, but is this but it's not in love, and I've
No,
never
and I think
seen
on a
the two of them in
fiction
that.
show, on a fiction show where, we're expected to really buy into these relationships, buy into these like characters and actually feel some kind of reaction when things happen to them. I feel like that relationship needs to be equally as
Epic.
strong. Yeah, epic. Just like they want us to buy into everything else.
Right. You know, because
So,
even like or Sherry and Dwight.
hmm,
I mean, these are people that are stupidly in love with each other, and I do mean
absolutely.
to stress the stupid part.
Especially Dwight. He is in love. He loves that girl no matter what she does.
Oh yeah, fully aware of every flaw she has.
She bosses his ass around and he like it.
Oh, he like it.
Yeah.
He absolutely like it. This is a man that followed her like a puppy dog, leaving breadcrumbs across the country.
Yeah.
You know, and then she rejected him, and
And
then
he was still hanging around like,
it's okay. You don't have to love me back. I love you.
now that I believe them.
Oh yeah. I mean, the two of them together are just they are stupidly in love with each
They are. And I actually believe that even though they are cool with Morgan pretty much, right? Yes, they got, I guess he turned on them a little bit when he told Padre about them,
other.
but
Hmm.
generally speaking, they don't want him to die. Like they were like, I'm not gonna let them just shoot you, right?
Right.
Um, so but I do believe they totally would have dragged his ass back for Finch if they
Hmm.
couldn't figure out something else.
Oh yeah. Of course, the other question is it seemed pretty easy for them to get Finch out of there, didn't it?
It did.
And that's all it took. Why didn't they do that to begin with?
I know. Like use the move I taught you and get out of there.
So that right there kind of was one of those things too. I'm like, well, wait a minute. If they've obviously been in touch with Padre, they know it that Finch is sitting there with her. They know this.
Mm-hmm.
So why didn't they do it before?
And I mean, why didn't Strike have his little ass tied up or something? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
Maybe
but
she
the kid
wanted
did
to
come back and
still.
he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm with you." Yeah,
Yeah, maybe
I'm
she
with you.
didn't want to believe that he would actually run to his parents.
Particularly since he had no idea of their existence. He had been with them since a literal infant,
Yes.
newborn, and although
And he's another one though. I don't know if I believe like the strength of that relationship. Now, yes, Dwight had been his teacher, right? We
right,
know this. So he has at least some type of relationship with Dwight, but it seems
and
like he has none with Sherry.
no, but he was in the nursery with Sherry. Remember, she said she when he was young, she worked in the nursery, and then when he
Yeah.
graduated, then she left.
And she switched jobs or whatever.
Right.
But
Although I really have to wonder, they're like, oh, we try to make sure that they didn't know that I was his mother. How would they not know? She gave birth to him there.
well, I mean, they could totally just let her give birth in some random room somewhere
Right.
and not show her to anyone until after she was without baby.
Yeah.
And then, oh, look, our people brought back this other child, another child rescued.
Right. So I don't know, but but so I mean, he's had a not a, I mean, in a way, a kind of parental, guardian relationship with his parents. They
Hmm.
weren't strangers to him. He knew who they were.
Right.
So I mean that does strengthen the thing, and I mean, and also from French's point of view, Strike did have him bitten by a zombie.
Even though he was asleep when it happened, he wasn't
Yeah,
awake, thank God. I mean,
yeah. But again, I mean, the only reason he was bit was because of her, and he
yes,
knows it.
yes.
So I'm pretty sure if I found out that
But does he
woman.
know? That's my question. Does he? Who told him?
Oh,
Who would have told him?
actually, that's a good point. I was just making an assumption there, but you're right. It is possible he doesn't know.
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, they could have said, "Oh my gosh, we got in there and we found a zombie biting you,
Yeah,
and we saved you. Our
that is true.
medicine saved you."
It's not like they're not beyond lying.
All right, they've been lying this whole time. What's
Exactly.
another lie? And it's
Right.
not like Sherry and Dwight are there to dispute it. Maybe they might tell him now that they're together
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
because he was knocked out the whole time that head
that's
was gnawing
true.
on his shoulder.
That's true. And they drugged Sherry and Dwight out of there before he woke up.
Mm-hmm.
So you're right. I mean, I guess it's possible one of the other kids told him, but I don't know who it would have been.
I mean, maybe, but I don't think Mo went back there. So
Uh-uh.
Mo didn't go back. What was that other girl's name? But she seemed to side with Padre, so I don't think
Right.
she would have said anything.
I don't know. So yeah, I mean, it's very possible he has no idea that his bite was from them.
Mm-hmm.
Poor kid.
Yeah, like dang, you don't even know you in there with the snakes, kid.
Yeah. But
Well,
I
maybe
could,
yeah, they'll tell him now though, probably.
but I mean, at the same time, I mean, he did seem to have a good relationship with Dwight.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see where if he found out that they were his parents and the circumstances, that he would have more loyalty to them than he would to anyone else
Yeah,
at Padre because it's not like they encourage relationships.
right. Definitely with
So,
the way, because you know how people get about their their coaches, their
hmm
senseis. You know what I mean? There's
right.
like some type of parental type relationship within that in
hmm
itself.
So
And
yeah,
then yeah,
So for him to kind of have this bond with them, isn't that surprising? Because Sherry would have helped raise him in the nursery,
mm-hmm,
and then Dwight would be teaching him the survival skills and stuff, and he would have looked up to Dwight.
yeah,
Like I said, like a coach or whatever, or a teacher. And so it wouldn't be a far step to go from that to accept going, oh, I have parents and they didn't abandon me.
right,
Neato. You know.
right,
So yeah,
right.
his is a little easier to that dynamic for me is easier to accept because of the contact that they had had.
Even though he's not saying, "Mom, Dad,"
Yeah.
he's not doing any of that.
So
At least not
I mean,
yet, anyway.
not yet. I'm pretty sure probably by another episode or two with them together that he will be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I mean, it's kind of it's kind of interesting to see these kids, their reactions to being reunited with their parents,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and we'll probably be seeing more of these types of reunions as the next couple episodes progress.
Although I don't think, yeah, we're definitely going to see some more reunions because we know that that's their plan is to, reunite these kids with the parents that are still living.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think any of those relationships will really matter to us as viewers because there are
Right,
no more kids in our core group.
right. That'll be like the background window dressing
Mm-hmm.
would be my guess.
And somebody's gonna die, so they got to kill some more people.
Well, I'm
So
pretty sure Sherry's gonna be one, or not Sherry, but
Grace is gonna be
Grace
one
is gonna
for
be one of them.
sure. Do you think that both Sherry and Dwight will make it out of this alive?
You know, I don't know. I mean, I can kind of see, I can see Morgan losing Grace, but the
Mm-hmm.
two of them actually making it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we, you know, for the rest of the characters, I mean, we've got June, and at this point, June has nothing to lose but her life.
Yeah, and I mean, if they could kill her, I think,
Yeah.
and I would be fine with it.
Um,
Um, and
and Madison. I mean,
Madison, yeah, she's probably on her ninth life right now, anyway.
right. Well, and then we've also got Victor, or not Victor, or what's his name? Crazy man,
Daniel.
Daniel.
Hmm.
I don't know. I could see Daniel dying, but I don't know. I can also see him kind of moseying off into the sunset too.
Yeah, I don't think they'll kill him. I feel like he'll just, well, however this ends, he'll just go off to his next thing. I feel like he's not going to be with that group again, no matter what, no matter who
Right.
survives it. I just can't see him with them like that.
At this point, like
Maybe he and Madison walk off and do something.
I could see that too, because we've
Hmm.
got this. So we've got this kind of strange dynamic going. We're down to basically let's see, one, two, three, four, five. Five essential, maybe six core characters. I really don't count Madison at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And out of the dozens of people that we had prior season.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're on a really narrow group at this point.
Well, we also haven't seen Victor, but that doesn't mean we won't.
Right.
We
I don't think we
haven't
will.
seen Luciana, but that doesn't mean we won't.
Right. Those are
So I
the
think those two can definitely still show up.
mm-hmm.
Who else could we
But
possibly
my
see?
guess is if either one of those show up, it will not be until the second half,
Mm-hmm.
not the first half.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like the way that they are progressing forward, we are going to find these either they're going to get the kids back out of Padre, or it's going to be a spectacular fail,
Mm-hmm.
and that'll be the season finale or the season mid-ending.
Mm-hmm.
So if they
Hmm.
do get the kids back, it makes me wonder what the last half of the season is going to be.
Yeah, definitely.
Because they really are moving it at a pretty good clip at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I do know that with Mo is with Madison and them guys, and they're more or less discussing. Yeah, it needs to be Morgan. Morgan's the leader. I don't think you guys want Morgan right now. He's crazy. Um,
He could
but
settle pretty quickly again. We know he can.
yeah, he can. But so we've got. I mean, I guess we could because we don't have that many episodes left.
No, but you know what else? Honestly, I don't know what the likelihood is, but I've heard some murmurs that maybe Michonne could show up at the very end of this. You know how they do like a post credit or
Hmm.
something. Maybe Rick, maybe. And I feel like, of course, Morgan will be standing in the end. He will.
Yeah.
Um, and he may
Part
be the one that has that interaction with one of those two characters in the post credit for the season.
of because I will say because Dead City starts in 12 days,
Uh huh.
so we've got two more episodes. You know,
Yep. Yep.
and I don't know. I mean, I'm not opposed to them because I like the clip. I like the pacing they've got going on here. But if they
I
continue,
almost don't want to take a break. I almost just want them to push through and finish it.
hmm
I
I
don't
would really
know.
like that too. But they're not going to.
But you know
But
what? Like, not to be like funny and no shade to Fear, obviously, but I'm really excited for Dead City. I want to explain, I want them to explain what is going on with Negan and stuff. Like, I feel like Dead City could be better than this season of Fear, just from what I'm seeing. I feel like
hmm
it's got all the possibility to just knock it out of the park and be even better than the final season of this show.
hmm
It's
oh,
got the right ingredients, so.
yeah. Well, and I I like Negan as I love to hate Negan. I just love to hate him.
Mhm.
I love, I mean, he's not my favorite character per se, but I do enjoy his character. He's over the top and obnoxious and terrible. Um, and then, even when he's over the top and terrible, he still has his moments of, huh, so there's a little bit of humanity underneath all of that,
I don't even care about
douchebaggery.
the humanity. I don't care about that. I like it when
Yeah,
he's just a straight villain.
I know.
And I've heard that he's supposed to be back, pretty much not how he was when we last saw him at the end of TWD. So I'm curious to see how he's going to be acting in this season. Like, is he going to be all the way reverted or just part of the way? And I'm
Right,
like, I'm okay with him not being Mr. Softy on the inside. I'm okay
right.
with it.
Well, and we also know that Maggie has hardened
Yeah.
considerably. So, now she may have softened a little bit again now that, we left him at a fairly happy place, but why would he go back to, his dickish ways and, unless something bad happened. So it's hard to say, but I do know, I am kind of wondering because there are several references to, like being with, Negan's group. It's like being with, the saviors. I'm like, I wonder if they meet up with Negan
Mm.
instead of it being Michonne, instead of it being Rick.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think about it, they're gonna have it, as far as I can tell from the schedule, we're
Uh,
gonna have this final episode, or
yeah.
the final episode of The Walking Dead, or Fear the Walking Dead, and then swing right into Dead City. So
Correct.
the segue would be more of a Negan, if you think about it.
You mean that he'll show up at this episode 6 of Fear?
And in the season, at the post credit stuff,
Well,
and
I
and
hope.
segue into.
I kind of hope not, because we already know that, obviously Dwight and Sherry have not had any kind of resolution or come to Jesus with Negan's character,
We
right?
don't, yeah,
About that. So that would be even more traumatizing to them. And they still are barely over the shit, right? It's been
right.
years.
I'm
So,
like I said, I was just
yeah.
I could see them doing it because the timing would make it work for them. You
Yeah,
know
it
what I
would.
mean?
But are they
And
even aligned on the timeline now?
I don't know.
Are they aligned right now?
I mean, they did make that big leap forward. So,
They did, but it still feel like in my brain, even though they've jumped ahead 7 years, right? Is that what the
mhm,
jump was? From the time that, they took Mo or whatever.
right?
I still feel like they're lagging behind for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, we're kind of vague on times.
Yeah.
Um, the only reason I bring it up is because they do like to have those little teasers, and it would make sense. They could more easily insert Rick or Michonne.
Mm-hmm.
But because Dead City is starting right after this, it would be easier to hide the little, uh, segue,
Mm-hmm.
so no one knows that there's going to be this crossover. Or it'd be easier to keep that kind of a crossover a secret since they're
Mm-hmm.
both, essentially were filming at the same time.
Hmm. Well, anything's possible, right?
Right.
I won't discount it, but I would think I would be surprised to see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I
Oh, I
don't
would
know.
be. I mean, I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen. I'm just saying that there's a couple of breadcrumbs there that could point to that
Yeah.
being something.
But I also think, and I know we are not seeing a lot like we talked about last week. They wrapped with the other show, right? With
Mm-hmm.
Michonne and Rick's show. So they're being really careful. Like, they kind of did the whole thing of spoiling these spin-off shows, but they're
Mm-hmm.
playing it close with the details. Like,
Yeah.
no one's really said much of anything.
Yeah.
So they've got those NDAs locked down, like
Mm-hmm.
everyone shut it. So that part is good. So you're right. We
Yeah.
could totally see anything on this show at,
Right.
we
Because of all
don't
the
know.
other filming going on,
Mhm.
it wouldn't be that hard to slide a character left or right, so to
Mm,
speak.
mhm.
And they could even take one of whatever characters from Walking Dead and slide it onto the scene of Rick and Michonne, or the Fear of the Walk, or Dead City, or
Mhm.
vice versa.
Right.
So and because all these actors know each other, I mean, it's hard to say. They could do anything, or they may do nothing at all.
Right.
But they do like their little surprise ending things.
They do. And I mean, it's just a just a bite, but being
Mhm.
that we're going to see that episode like right away.
Mhm.
Uh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if they'll show anything at the end of episode 6. I know I'm expecting a cliffhanger, right? I'm expecting some kind of cliffhanger since we
Right.
got to wait around for the back half of the season.
Right.
And it better be a good one. It better be like jaw-dropping level cliffhanger, in my opinion.
Mhm.
I
I mean,
don't know if
right
we're
now,
going
I
to get
mean,
it.
the what we've seen, so this is probably the best season they've had ever.
You think ever?
I mean, I'm thinking back, because I hated it when Madison was there, so we can discount all the episodes that she was in before.
Mhm.
I still don't like her. Um, I
I really liked it when Victor was like good,
mm-hmm.
when he was a part of the team, when he was, he's always going to be his assholey self, right?
Right.
But I liked it better when he wasn't the villain. Like, I didn't like what they did to his character last season. I'm like, what is this?
Well, and they've been kind of slouching him towards Bethlehem for a while since they ran into um, Jenny and her
Mm-hmm.
group,
Mm-hmm.
or Virginia. And, I mean, so it wasn't like he had a sudden change of heart. He'd been strolling that way for a while.
Yeah, but he just after that explosion, of course, leading into that when he was trying
Hmm.
to take out Morgan and shit, like the fuck, like I mean, he was just doing the absolute most, and I did not like that at all. I didn't like the turn they took with his character.
Yeah.
Period. I think they could have handled that a lot better.
Oh,
So
yeah. I mean, if he hadn't done what he did, they could have stopped the whole nuclear bomb. I mean, that's all him. Well, not all
yeah,
him, but you know what I mean.
yeah, and I
Um,
mean, we both talked about how that season could have been better
oh, yeah.
had the thing hadn't gone off and they found some other kind of conflict.
Exactly. Because that whole nuclear thing was just stupid.
Yeah.
And, but, I mean, maybe the season before they met um, Virginia was really good.
Hmm.
But I'm gonna say right now for pacing and story, and we're not having to keep track of 42,000 people. I kind of like the whole thing with that entire camp of kids. They showed up and then disappeared.
Hmm.
What happened to them?
Like, what happened to those kids? What
So
happened to all those kids? Who
yeah, what
knows?
happened? I mean, and all the people that were there in the dam and the whole, I don't know, that whole thing. I don't know. It was there is a whole lot going on there in that dam, and that could have, they were stupid.
Hmm.
And so yeah, I mean, so far this season, it's there's not a large cast of characters. We have the parent group, but they're their background.
Hmm.
They're to further the story. They're not the story,
Yeah.
and we don't have to keep track of them. We don't even have to know what they look like.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I kind of I like the how it's gone so far.
Yeah, same. I would agree. It's not perfect, but I'm still enjoying it, right? I'm
Yeah.
enjoying it. And I do think we're going to have a strong end, but I think I was affected by that lackluster TWD finale.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was lackluster personally. I know a lot of people loved it, but I kind of thought it was fine, quote unquote, right?
Right.
Nothing.
It was fine.
It was fine. Nothing horrible, nothing grand.
Right.
So I think I felt a little disgruntled with that. So I'm not expecting a grand finale here either.
Okay. I mean, that's fair.
But we'll see if they can surprise me and pull it out. Be like, "Hey, it's fabulous." I'll be the first one to give them props on it. Honestly,
Yeah. Especially considering how many times they jumped the shark last season.
yeah.
We all deserve better.
Hmm. I agree. So maybe they can do it. I'm excited. Did you hear that Dead City has plans for multiple seasons?
I haven't really been keeping as close track as you.
Yeah, I can't remember how many seasons now. I didn't save the article, but at first I thought it was going to be like a limited thing. But
Hmm.
I think they have already started plotting to go further if they get the ratings they think they're going to get for season one.
Hmm. Okay. Well, I mean, if it's good, I won't
Mm,
be opposed to it.
right.
So I
But
can't
I
say that.
definitely didn't expect it. I thought it was supposed to be this singular kind of short
Hmm.
beginning, middle, end type of story. And now they're just trying to expand it as, get every last drop of blood out of this tree.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mm, we'll
Well,
see.
it's AMC.
I still have a bone to gripe with them. I'm telling you, the minute these silly shows are off, I'm canceling that shit. I still feel away. I still feel it. I'm a little
That's fair.
bitter. It costs too much. They need to lower the price.
Oh, everything's gone up in price. It's just awful.
Oh, I know it's dreadful. Like y'all just
Just
need
to
to.
let you
Oh,
know, though, right now Paramount, or not Paramount, but Peacock's running a special for you can get a year for $20.
ooh, maybe I should get it. I mean, I have it now, but we can cancel that one and get a different one. I can turn
Mm-hmm.
it on for $20.
It needs a code. I can't remember the code, but it's online. I was reading an article about it the other day, and I'm like, I poked my boyfriend. I'm like, we need it. He's like, we have everything but this one. I'm like, and it's $20 for a whole year.
Actually,
Come
there's a
on,
lot
man.
of good stuff on Peacock.
I
So,
know. There's actually was it Poker Face? Was a good one.
mm-hmm.
And then I started watching the sister whatever the other day. The one with the nun.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. But I've been getting my reality TV fix on there,
I don't
and
watch reality TV.
I know, but I still watch it every once in a while. I'll go like 6 months and not watch anything, and then I'll just get in a mood and just start binging it, like the last season of whatever.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I have watched exactly one reality show in my life, and I hated it, and I will never do it again.
oh well, you tried it, so that's all
Yeah.
you can say. Um, is there any other topics we should cover on episode before we skedaddle on out of here?
No, I think I mean, like it was a tight episode. I mean, the whole skunk thing was kind of funny.
He's like, need some milk. Ugh, that was
I did kind
gross.
of enjoy that particular aspect. You know, I don't know why it just kind of made me laugh a little bit.
We
Although
needed
apparent
that levity with all this seriousness.
yeah, although I will say apparently the one that bit Grace apparently also smelled like skunk. So why did they smell them? Okay, anyway, never mind. Done. We're done. We're done.
Okay, you guys, thank you so much for listening to this entire episode. If you are still here, please do not forget to like and subscribe before you leave. And we will see you again next week. Take care of yourselves. Bye, guys.
Bye bye.